So, hi Russell, we want you to tell something about Independent Day in Ukraine.
Oh yeah, today is
what do you think about
Ukrainian Independence Day. I saw a video on YouTube today, Jeffrey Payat, the U.S. ambassador and owner and master of Ukraine, congratulating the people, his new serfs and slaves, on their independence. It was really ridiculous. If it wasn't so disgusting, it would have been even more funny.
Why do you think that he is owner of Ukraine?
Because that's who Poroshenko takes his orders from. Barack Obama gets his orders from the corporations and oligarchs. He calls up Payat in Kiev. Payat calls up Poroshenko and tells him what to do. The entire Ukrainian government is now the stooges and flunkies of the U.S. oligarchs. They do not represent the Ukrainian people. They represent who Barack Obama and Jeffrey Payat tell them to represent, which is other oligarchs and U.S. interests, NATO interests.
And what do you think about that's happening on the front line now and the last week?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's
we have escalation of conflict or what?
It has the conflict is escalating since the last couple of weeks. Donetsk has been getting shelled pretty heavily, although it's been quiet the last 2 or 3 nights here in town. Gorlovka and Telmanova are still getting hit very hard. Positions at the front are still getting hit very hard. There was rumors going around that today, the Independence Day, was going to be the giant, massive attack by the 90,000 Ukraine soldiers all along the front. Of course, that didn't materialize.
You think that Gorlovka and Telmanova can be rounded with Ukrainian?
Surrounded? No. The Ukrainians will not break through. The Ukrainians, the Novo-Russian army is ready to handle the Ukraine army. They got 90,000 Ukraine soldiers on the front, and 75,000 of them don't want to be there and would rather shoot their own officers and the Pravi sector Nazis that are behind them, poking them with bayonets, making them head toward the front. They'd rather shoot them than shoot at the Novo-Russian army.
Poroshenko said that he used peacetime to make the Ukrainian army stronger. What do you think about it?
Well, of course that's true. That's exactly what any crooked prestupnik like him would do. But the Ukrainian army can never ever be strong enough to defeat the Novo-Russian army. If they send the entire Ukrainian army here against Donbass, the entire Ukrainian army will be destroyed here in Donbass. The soldiers will die. We will take their guns and their tanks and drive them to Kiev.
Do you think that Poroshenko want peace or not?
No, I mean I don't think he cares either way. All he does is whatever his masters in Washington D.C. tell him to do. And Poroshenko, he's already got his stolen billions. He's rich. He doesn't have to worry about anything. He's just as comfortable in Kiev whether there's a war in Donbass or not. He just does what he's told to do by Barack Obama. And he's obviously a psychopath and a real prestupnik. And he doesn't care about killing civilians. He doesn't care.
You think that Ukraine is not an independent country?
No, it is the slave of NATO, the EU, and the United States. And I'm talking about how can it be independent when it owes billions of dollars to the IMF already through crappy loans that have all been stolen. They send what's this chick, the Natalie Jaresko, who is a U.S.-born woman that is now the Minister of Finance.
So we can say that Ukraine now is like the U.S. In 15th or 16th century.
Yeah, it's a colony. Yeah, it is commanded by foreigners. And this, Natalie Jaresko, the Minister of Finance for the nation of Ukraine, she was born in the United States. Eka Zugladze, she is the Interior Minister. She's the head cop in Ukraine. She was born in Georgia. Saakashvili, he's the governor of Odessa Oblast. He's not from around here. How did these people get these positions? They didn't get elected by the Ukrainian people. They got appointed by a crooked government that was put into power in an illegal fascist coup. And so how's their independence there? The Ukrainian nation since Maidan has only been dragged through the mud, and the quality of life in Western Ukraine has deteriorated. Look how the economy has deteriorated in the last year and a half. Look how the reputation of Ukraine. Ukraine has a worldwide reputation now as war criminals and Nazis, as psychopaths and baby killers. That's the reputation that Ukraine has after only a year and a half of U.S. prosperity and democracy. I mean, their economy is in a shambles, their reputation is terrible, their army is whipped like a yard dog, beaten every time they come up against the Russian army. We got citizens here who volunteered less than a year ago to defend their homes, and they now whip the Ukrainian army every time they get near them. And you know, the Ukrainian army gets hundreds of millions, billions of dollars from the U.S. government, and yet they can't advance 1 mile. In fact, they're lucky that we're not advancing against them right now, because we could if we wanted to.